This is Radio Taiwan International.
Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Hannah Belinsky, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Tuesday, May 12th. Semiconductors are Taiwan's biggest bargaining chip, experts say, ahead of Trump-Xi meeting. Legislature weighs turning Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall into Democratic Education Park. And Taiwan hosts Internet Communications Governance Forum. But first, today's top story. U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to arrive in Beijing Wednesday evening for a 3-day visit and meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Experts have weighed in regarding concerns that he may reduce support for Taiwan. According to the Associated Press, retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery described Trump as a transactional president and expressed his concern that should transactional opportunities arise, they could present challenges. Montgomery is now a senior fellow at the Washington think tank Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Edgar Kagan, a former senior Asia-Pacific affairs official who served in both the Trump and Biden administrations, offered a different view. Kagan, now China Research Director at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, emphasized that Trump understands the use of leverage and said he believes the president is unlikely to sacrifice U.S. interests in Taiwan in exchange for other gains. Analysts note that Taiwan's greatest bargaining chip is its world-leading semiconductor industry. Assistant professor at National Taiwan University's Graduate Institute of National Development, Lev Nachman, said Trump understands the importance of Taiwan to the U.S. economy and that this is likely the main factor preventing drastic policy changes. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has clearly stated that U.S. policy toward Taiwan remains unchanged. He told reporters in Rome, Italy, that they are opposed to any forced or coercive change to the status quo, as this would create global instability. He also noted that while Taiwan will not be the main focus of Trump's trip, it will be a topic of discussion. However, Brookings Institution China expert Patricia Kim warned that even if official policy remains unchanged, Trump may not fully understand the delicate balance maintained in U.S. policy language on Taiwan and could create risk through spontaneous remarks. Premier Zhou Rongtai spoke regarding plans to transform Taipei's Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall into a democratic education park that preserves historical memory this Tuesday. During a legislative session, DPP lawmakers raised concerns over the handling of sites associated with Taiwan's authoritarian past and the pace of reforms related to the hall. Legislator Wu Pei-yi said the government has identified 42 sites of injustice, noting that just 19 currently have signage explaining their historical significance. She argued that more efforts are needed to promote public education, guided tours, and memorial activities, including at sites managed by central government agencies. Legislator Lin Yijing asked about the future of Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, noting that civic groups have repeatedly called to remove statues of the former leader and transform the site into a democratic space. The premier said the Memorial Hall should become a democratic education park centered on preserving historical memory and advancing democratic education.
We should develop the future Memorial Hall in two directions. One, preserving historical memory, and one to promote democratic education. Under those principles, closing the space is one consideration, but opening it as a gateway to democracy may be another.
Culture Minister Li Yuan said investigations into potential sites linked to authoritarian-era abuses have continued, and stressed that preserving such locations is intended to help society understand Taiwan's history. The 2026 Internet Communications Governance Forum is taking place this Tuesday through Wednesday in Taipei with representatives from Ireland, Ukraine, the UK, France, South Korea, and India in attendance. The forum focuses on Internet governance in the AI era and strengthening international dialogue and policy exchange. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Lin Mingxin, Minister without portfolio, described the forum as a platform for bringing Taiwan's experience to the international community and introducing global perspectives to Taiwan. National Communications Commission Commissioner Wang Zhengjia commented that a generational shift in Internet governance has taken place during the 3 years since the previous NCC forum. He noted that the EU, UK, and Taiwan have all begun implementing related legislation.
Global digital governance has moved from whether governance is necessary to discussing how to govern in a proportionate, accountable, and rights-respecting manner.
Wang said the rapid growth of generative AI and algorithm-driven online platforms has transformed the internet from a space mainly focused on information sharing into a more complex digital environment. He highlighted that online fraud and illegal exploitative content now spreads across borders too quickly for any one country to address alone. The forum is also part of a 4-day 2026 Internet Week event co-hosted with the Taiwan Network Information Center, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, and the Asia-Pacific Network Information Center. A pro-democracy organization says Chinese diplomatic missions in the U.S. are actively blocking anti-CCP messages.
Chinese diplomatic missions in the United States are facing a new form of overseas protest. Projection-based anti-communist campaigns using light imagery and political slogans. Overseas activist group China Action says Chinese embassies and consulates have responded by deploying what groups called wall guards, including high-powered floodlights and private security teams aimed at blocking the projections. The campaign follows a series of global projection protests launched by China Action last month. Activists projected anti-CCP imagery and messages onto Chinese diplomatic buildings across 7 cities in 4 countries. China Action spokesperson Su Yutong said the strongest response came outside the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C., where activists counted at least 54 floodlights allegedly installed to interfere with projections. According to Su, more than 60 floodlights were later spotted outside the Chinese consulate in Los Angeles. In New York, she said consulate staff permanently welded mobile floodlights onto platforms after earlier projection protests. The group also accused Chinese diplomatic missions of hiring private security guards to physically obstruct projection teams. Su claimed guards used black umbrellas to block projection beams and intimidate activists. China Action says it is consulting lawyers and may file complaints with U.S. authorities accusing Chinese missions and security contractors of participating in transnational repression. The group also alleges activists' family members inside China have been threatened by state security authorities in an effort to stop the overseas protest. Beijing has repeatedly denied accusations of transnational repression overseas, saying China respects foreign laws and opposes activities it says threaten China's national security. Joey Cho for RTI News.
President Lai Ching-te met with Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon this Tuesday at the presidential office. The president welcomed Gordon's second visit to Taiwan following his initial visit that took place last April and highlighted the state's high regard for Taiwan. Lai thanked Gordon for his strong support of Taiwan-Wyoming exchanges, noting that the two have fostered cooperation in agriculture, education, and other fields. He noted that many Taiwanese students study in Wyoming, further strengthening connections in talent and culture. Wyoming possesses critical minerals and low-carbon technologies, Lai said, making it an indispensable partner for Taiwan's transformation process. Lai said Taiwan looks forward to continuing to leverage the industrial advantages of both sides, deepening ties, and jointly building a safer and more resilient democratic supply chain. The governor said his visit to Taiwan has resulted in partnerships in carbon capture, utilization, and storage, which he said highlights the importance of the partnership in overall net zero transition. For the first time, Taiwan is entering the immersive competition section of this year's Cannes Film Festival and Cannes Film Market. Led by Taiwan Creative Content Agency Chair Sue Wong, the Taiwanese delegation is entering a combination of restored classic films, comic IPs, and international co-productions. The Cannes Film Festival opened this Tuesday and sees Taiwanese works gaining visibility across multiple sections. The 1989 film The Dull Ice Flower was selected for the Cannes Classic lineup in a digitally restored version. Additionally, the Taiwan-Singapore co-production When Henge Meets Crescent has been selected by the Asia Film Financing Forum for the Goes to Cannes showcase. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Hannah Belinsky. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.